Well, hello, this is Rochelle, and welcome to my channel. For today, I'm going to be showing you how to, number one, make your own pattern paper. I'm using some big brush markers, just adding it onto non-stick packaging, scribbling it out, adding a little bit of water, and smushing it out on white cardstock. I'm doing this in a grey, a warm grey, and a mauve type pink, just laying it down. And you'll see, depending on the amount of water and the amount of blending you do beforehand, it'll have either streaky stripes or a bit more of a smushed, marbled effect, depending on what you want. So I'm going to be layering some colors here. The nice thing with using the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pens is that this ink dries permanent, so it does not move once it is dry, and that is great. Now I'm going to attempt doing this woven technique that I've seen, and I wanted to show you. This is my first attempt, so you are seeing all of it. I'm using some Felicity Jane Buffalo Plaid washi just to lay down on a white piece of cardstock, and that will then create some of my strips that I'm going to be weaving. This is a lot of difficult words for me. And then just using a carpet knife and cutting those strips out. So I could have just used strips of paper. It would have been fine, but I didn't have this buffalo plaid in the strips of paper, so I made my own, just using washi on top of white cardstock and then cutting out those strips. This would be a great stash busting idea if you are someone who keeps branding strips from the bottoms of 12 by 12 papers. Different ranges include, even Felicity Jane include branding strips at the bottom of their pages, which has patterns in that you can use for this specific technique. So then I've cut out the strips that I wanted to use. Remember, please, that this is my trying method. So I'm using 2 centimeters in between cutting on this piece of pattern paper that I've just created, 2 centimeters apart, and not cutting it all the way through, just to have that platform on which to weave these other strips through. So in the end, I loved the way it looked so much that I needed to use this in an entry in my Bible. And I love that Colossians 2 speaks of, Paul wanting us to be woven together in love. And it just worked out perfectly. If you read Colossians 2 verse 3 and 4 in the Message Bible, it specifically speaks about woven together, and that in love, so that we may intimately know the love of God and who God is in our lives. So weaving, interesting. I had a lot of fun playing around and trying to figure it out. The key obviously is to put it through over one, under one, over one, under one, and then alternating with the second strip so that it has the crisscross plaid kind of woven detail to it. I have actually seen someone do this in their Bible with the actual Bible page, and I was blown away. It just it was beautiful, but I was so scared to do it in my Bible that obviously I tried it on some cardstock first. So this is just project board, and you'll see that I then went all the way through so that I could have this piece to put into my Bible. So now I'm going to be cutting the edges off so that I have a piece that I can put into my Bible without the unfinished look of the edges currently. Realizing that these things are loose from one another, so need to cut carefully. I am going to be backing it with some contact adhesive just to keep stuff in place, because I'm worried this stuff looks like it's going to fall apart. But it is pretty sturdy, and I can understand how our grandparents or great grandparents wove these things together and even with fabric weaving, that it's a pretty sturdy setup. But for my own doubt, I am going to be backing it with some contact adhesive. So I am putting it on the back side, not the front, so that it would just hold things together nicely for my Bible journaling entry. So here's how I put contact adhesive on without getting all the bubbles, is I just slowly pull it away and straighten it out with my thumb as I go. There is a video on how I make fun foam journals, and I show a bit more of that in there. So cutting off the strips there and then measuring it for this page in Colossians in my illustrating Bible. I am using the bigger Bible just because I wanted to show off all of this weaving. I really liked it. I cut it in half so that I could fit it into the whole margin, obviously wanting to cover that big bold title for Colossians. See, I've got gelatos on the brain. And then using double-sided tape on top of that contact adhesive to stick it down. Now what I do with this is I pull away just the edges so that I can pull away, once I've stuck it down and I've got it firmly in place, then I can pull away the rest of the tape backing, so that it's secure, number one, and number two, I'm sure that it's in the place where it needs to be without me having to pull off all of the stickiness of that page. Then just cutting off the edges that went over the page, and then realizing that on the middle there where they meet, I need to put some glue just to hold them together. You do want to use a pretty strong double-sided tape if you are doing it on top of that contact adhesive, just because it might not necessarily hold. And then I've been hoarding these. I so didn't want to use them, but I couldn't think of a better place to use it than the specific entry, and I am using these Felicity Jane scripty font puffy alpha stickers to spell out woven together. Double checking obviously that I've got all of the letters. It's always something that kind of annoys me with alpha letters, is that I never have enough of the letters that I frequently use. So I am breaking up the word together so that it all fits in nicely, and doing it from the back so that I line up the back and make sure that there's enough space for all of the words. I really love these Felicity Jane scripty puffy alphas. They are just absolutely gorgeous, and I need to get my hands on some more. I don't know how yet. This is a Heidi swap, and I believe it's from the Emerson Lane collection stamp set, and there is this tab that I'm using then to stamp out on white paper, and then I'm going to be fussy cutting that to put into my entry here, to write down the message version of this verse so that I could have that woven together reference in there, and I just wanted a gray label and I didn't find one big enough, so I remembered that I had the stamp to do it in. And here, for the first time in my entire life, my camera cut out. I did not check the battery, and so the last writing of the entry is not on here, but it literally is just writing and then adding some Creative Retreat wonky hearts to this entry and then calling it a day. Thanks for joining me. Hope you'll try this at home, and tag me if you do. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.